in for Basil tonight.
Okay, I was just asking because if you want to speak during public session, just, let Josephine know, text, email, or chat, because we don't, we kind of like to line you up if we can. So I'm not doing it all on the fly. Okay. And Jahi Rose, I see you're here from CCRB. You do want to speak, correct? Just a quick yes or no?
Oh, yes.
Yes, okay.
Okay,
got
we are
Libby.
live.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Community Board 10, our May 16th, 2022 meeting. I'd like to start this meeting this evening, as we always do, with the honor of the pledge. So Josephine, if you could put up our flag, that would be great. Who is that woman? Thank you. As I'd like to start off, I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'd like to go ahead with the adoption of the agenda. If I can get, is that Julie Thumb? You got your hand up? Okay, Julie, and a second by Diane. Thank you very much. And also an adoption of the minutes from the April 18th board meeting. Thank you, Barbara Gurmak and Larry Stelter. Thank you. I have for a second. Okay, I'm going to move on to the public session. I really would like everyone to attempt to keep their comments to the shortest amount possible. Our public sessions have become very long. So for any of you who have not signed up to speak during the public session, please do so. After the public session, we move on, to our agenda items. So if you do want to speak, please so indicate and we'll try to get to you. So the first person we have signed up this evening for public session is Libby Silver of State Senator Andrew Gennardis's office.
Okay, Libby, you should be able to unmute yourself now. Libby? Hi.
Hi.
Hello. Okay, we're working. Hi, I'm just joining from Senator Gennardis's office. I'm filling in for Tori, who I'm sure you're all very familiar with. We don't have any specific announcements, but we do have some community events. We just had our shredding event. I think some of you were there. But the office is, ready to help with any constituent issues that anyone may have. For some reason, city agencies seem to be getting back to us well now. So, that's great to hear. I'm sorry, I'm just trying to find our events that now I can't seem to find, but I don't want to take up too much of anyone's time. The office is located at 8018 Fifth Avenue. Definitely stop by for free COVID tests or masks or anything else. We're here to help.
Thank you very much. It's very nice to meet you. And now we have Nancy Lulu from Brooklyn District Attorney Eric Gonzalez's office. Nancy, you're going to speak this evening?
Yes. Hi, Lori. Hi. Good evening, everybody. First, I would like to extend greetings on behalf of DA Gonzalez to everyone. I just have two announcements. The Brooklyn DA's office, in collaboration with the NYPD, will be holding a gun buyback event with no questions asked on Saturday, May 21st at Emmanuel Baptist Church at 279 Lafayette Avenue. The event will be from 10 to 4 p.m. Receive a $200 bank card as well as an iPad for an operable hand, guns and assault rifles. Even though it's not within the community board's district, but it's open to the public. The community board as well as the precinct have the flyer. And if you're interested, you could feel free to reach out to me. And it's all on social media platforms. Also, in honor of the Asian American Pacific Islander Heritage Month, the Brooklyn DA's office will be holding an Asian and Pacific Islander celebration in Brooklyn Heights as we celebrate generations of Asian and Pacific Islanders who have enriched our communities. The event will be held on Tuesday, May 24th at 5:30 p.m. at the Brooklyn Bar Association at 123 Remsen Street. Everyone must RSVP for this event, and we look forward to seeing everyone. Also, please visit our social media platforms as well as the Brooklyn DA's office's website at brooklyndA.org to view our latest press releases. And as always, I like to conclude with providing our Action Center's phone number. If there's something you would like to speak to us about, to call 718-250-2340. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak this evening.
Thank you very much, Nancy. And now we have Jahi Rose from the CCRB.
Hello, good evening. I'm Jahai Rose, the Director of Outreach from the Civilian Complaint Review Board. As you all know, the CCRB is a city agency charged with taking complaints about police misconduct. We can investigate, mediate, and/or administratively prosecute those claims of misconduct. The CCRB is here to help. If you'd like some information regarding what that process looks like, how that process works, and what our jurisdiction is, feel free. I'm going to put my information in the chat. For everyone to feel free to contact me. We do public education for adults, youth, our seniors, anybody that's interested to know, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. In addition to that, the CCRB is back to doing in-person board meetings. For right now, the board meetings will take place at our Manhattan office at 100 Church Street in Lower Manhattan from 4 p.m. until the meeting is over. Typically, the meeting is about an hour to an hour and a half. If you would like more information about that as well, we email the community board monthly. So if you could please just share that amongst the general public. But if you're interested in participating in the meeting, by speaking, then don't hesitate, reach out to me as well. Thank you all very much for allowing me to speak tonight. I'm going to keep it brief. Once again, have a wonderful night, everyone. And thank you. And we're here to help.
Thank you so much. And thank you for coming by. And now we have Michael Shelton from Councilmember Justin Brannan's office.
Hi, everyone. Thanks, Lori. Michael here from Councilman Brannan's office. Justin is negotiating the budget pretty much every hour of every day right now, but we hope to have some very good news on that front soon. This past month has been really wild in the news, especially in government and politics in a lot of different ways. I'm not going to get into most of that right now, but I just want to let you know we see that this is a really frenetic time for the pace of headlines and major developments that are landing. And so I just want to encourage all of you to feel free to reach out to us at the office if you have questions about anything, need help processing some of the stuff that's going on. Other than that, I just want to say we have a lot of our spring and summer events coming back. So even though we're still remote tonight on Zoom, I hope to see a lot of you in person at those. Pretty much every Friday and Saturday, we're either doing a silent disco or a movie night. We're at the Green Market. We're doing street renamings and weeknights as well. Every once in a while, we're having street cleanups, stuff like that. So if you need any specific dates, either get in touch with us at the office or they're all listed at justinbrannan.com/events. You can check them all out there as well. And we hope to see all of you soon. Thanks.
Thank you, Michael. And now we have Jim Gustavus from Bravo. That is our volunteer ambulance service.
Jim, you should be allowed to unmute now. Jim?
And there we go. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Thank you. I'm sorry to be um, so inept with Zoom. All right. Bravo Volunteer Organization. I'd just like to say a few words about it. We're running a campaign for donations and volunteers. We're always have been open for volunteers. For those of you who are not familiar with us, we're a volunteer ambulance corps that covers all of CB10, Community Board 10. And we run solely on volunteers and donations. In our glory years, I would say, we had a ambulance corps that ran 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Over the years, in recent times, our volunteers numbers have dwindled quite a lot, and our ability to have run the corps continuously has slackened. We're always in the need for new members. Feel free to join, any of you, if you want to share some of your knowledge and help us out. We run, again, solely on donations, and we are not government funded at all, although we are now in the process of applying for certain grants to help us out. As you might know, just a few words, I just won't belabor you long, but to run an ambulance is quite costly. And the years we were doing very well as far as donations go, but recently times have changed. The makeup of Bay Ridge has changed quite a bit, and many people don't even know who we are. Last year, we started an ad campaign where we had some advertisements at bus shelters and on some subway stations, and in some local papers. Purpose of my discussion tonight is trying to seek the board's help in any way and any manner and if anyone can assist us in the future and for advertising alone. We have placards that we've prepared that we hope to start installing in various windows, storefronts throughout Bay Ridge on 13th Avenue, 5th Avenue, and 3rd Avenue, and 86th Street. And in the hope that it will arouse new members, and it will also people start contributing more. To become Bravo needs emergency medical technicians. We're not the only ones that need EMTs. EMTs are sought after by EMS right now. They're not very well paid, and so the profession as a whole is suffering. When we started in 1974, there was a very big need for ambulances in our city. People were actually dying in the streets waiting for an ambulance to respond. Good friend of mine, Peter Mentis, was one of the founding members. He passed away recently from COVID and cancer, but he was instrumental in helping Bravo get started. In his memory, I'd like to have everyone here, if they can help us in any way, we'd appreciate it. And I won't take any much more of your time. I have a ad that I can show you. I don't know how to post it, but I'll try and attach it if anybody wants to contribute. We have a website that's accessible. If you Google bravo.com, Bravo or Bay Ridge Ambulance Corps, it leads you into a website where you can either fund or even join us in one manner or the others. And again, thank you for your time. And I'll try to post the advertisement if I can. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We do appreciate Bravo and the value to this community. So if you have problems posting, I'm sure that Josephine or Dorothy in the office can help you out, and we'll do our best to get your message out. Thank you very much. And now we have Rob Aguilar from Council Member Alexa Avilas's office.
Rob, you should be able to speak now. I've unmuted you. Rob?
Yep, I just
Okay.
unmuted my.
Great.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Rob Aguilar from Councilmember Alexa Avilas's office. Just wanted to give a quick update. In a previous meeting, there were some sanitation concerns expressed around the N train line station on the 8th Avenue area. So it's actually an area that we were looking at for some time because there is a lot of accumulation of garbage and debris and all sorts of dirty things. So as part of Earth Day, our office partnered with a local organization called ECR and we did a community cleanup. We turned out over 30 plus volunteers and we cleared the entire area from 61st Street and 8th Avenue all the way up to close to like Fort Hamilton Parkway. Conditions were pretty bad. However, when we reached out to sanitation, they kind of blamed the conditions on cleanup being suspended for about 2 weeks or so due to the holidays prior to our cleanup. This is an area that we're going to continue to monitor and put pressure on sanitation if we have to make sure that those areas remain clean. Our office is open from Monday through Friday from 9:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. and we're on 45th Street and 4th Avenue. And that's all the update I have for now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now we have Lawrence Denmark from the Brooklyn Public Library Fort Hamilton branch.
Good evening. Thank you for giving me this time to make a few announcements from the library. I suppose the first announcement is for June 7th. June 7th, we're having a party in the park. It will be held at the Bensonhurst Park on 21st Avenue and Cropsey Avenue. Yes. And there will be a clown and we will have games. We'll have this group, the Bubble Girls will be there entertaining the children. We'll do story times. There'll be some prizes for the kids when they come, for the children. And that is June 7, Bensonhurst Park. It will begin at 11 a.m. until 3 a.m. or 3 p.m. I'm sorry. And so that's June 7. I believe it's what they call Brooklyn Queens Day. So the schools will be out. And we hope it'll be good weather and that lots of children and parents, caregivers will attend the event. And also the Saturday, June 4 at the library, at all public libraries in Brooklyn, we are having the kickoff of our summer reading program. And we will be, I'm the manager of the Fort Hamilton Library, and we will be tabling in front of the library. We will have some entertainment for the children, and there will be some giveaways for the children, which we do every year for the summer reading program. And at that time, we'll be making library cards for people who need them. And there will also be story times and entertainment for the children as well. That's June 4, that's Saturday, June 4. And again, that'll be from like 11 until 3 in the afternoon. On a weekly basis, I'm beginning to do story times again on Monday morning at 10:30. 10:30. The next couple of Mondays, we won't be doing it because I'll be on vacation and then we run into Memorial Day. So we will begin June 6 and June 13 for story time at 10:30 at the Fort Hamilton branch. That's a Monday morning at 10:30. So come to the library. We hope to see you there. And I had a lot of flyers, but unfortunately, we are
Sorry.
going virtual. I will have them out at the library if you care to stop by. Thank you very much for the time, and I hope to see you soon in person.
Thank you very much.
you.
Thank you very much. Next month, Lawrence.
Thank you.
Okay, and now we have Essa Masood from the Fifth Avenue BID.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Thank you, Lori. Just a quick update on some of the events coming up. Sunday, June 5th will be the Fifth Avenue Festival. So everyone's welcome to join us on the Avenue from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. There'll be lots of vendors, entertainment, restaurants, live bands. If anyone's interested in becoming a vendor, you can contact the BID, contact our office, or fill out the application online. Also, Open Streets is coming up starting July 29th. It'll be every Friday, or every last Friday of the month, starting from July through October. For any more details, you can always visit the website and browse through it at your convenience. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Okay, and I think that's everyone who has signed up to speak at our public session. So now we will be moving on to our public hearing. And those will be our SLA liquor license applications.
Lori, Barbara Vellucci has not arrived yet.
Okay. Okay, so then we will, if there's no objection, we'll take this out of order. We'll move on to the chair's report, just briefly interrupting our public session, if we may, just to keep things moving.
Great, thank you.
Sorry, Joe, you're up.
Chair's report's up.
Oh, I'm sorry, me, not you. All right, I'm thinking district manager. I'm up. Okay, so here I go. Good evening, everyone. Put on my glasses. Okay. So this evening, we had, as you all know, I had intended to have a live board meeting, but that did not occur. So this month, like many during my tenure as chair, has involved decision-making around COVID-specific issues, as you know. However, earlier today, it became clear we would not achieve a quorum due to tonight's unexpected severe weather and board member absences. I have to say I was sad to have canceled what I thought would be the first in-person full board meeting since the start of the pandemic, but I will not have the option to do that next month. Despite a rise in COVID numbers, early next month, the open meeting law requires that at least a quorum of our members meet in person, and board members will be required to return to in-person meetings. I remain concerned for the health of our board and CB10 members, so I do ask that anyone attending next month's board meeting choose to wear a mask and distance as much as possible in order to make all attendees feel as safe as possible and to enable all board members and attendees to fulfill their duty to attend the board meeting and do so safely. We have all heard about the horrible mass shooting in Buffalo, New York, which came on the heels of a shooting in our community at a subway stop that's regularly traversed by our district's riders. And it's now followed by yesterday's shooting at a church in California. It's unthinkable that people were shot during peacetime just going into the grocery store in their daily travels. It was reported in the news today that there have been 198 mass shootings in the United States in just the 4.5 months of 2022. Whatever the ostensible logic or impetus is revealed to be the cause of the event, investigations of these acts, it seems to me that people are feeling an unprecedented amount of pressure and disconnection from their fellow human beings. We humans do violence to each other all the time, unintentionally and intentionally, whether with guns or mean words or unkind acts, unthinking inactions or malicious thoughts. In the context of natural conservation, words were spoken that I think apply equally here. And that was, in the end, we will conserve only what we love. We will love only what we understand, and we will understand only what we are taught. I'm certainly no expert, but maybe some part of the solution to the violence we're experiencing is understanding. We love what we understand. To understand a person, we have to listen to the person, and that involves being tolerant enough to actually hear and figure out what the person is saying, even when we don't like what is being said or we think we've heard it all before. I find that when I try my best to be tolerant and just listen to what another person is saying without presumption, I'm taught something of value, be it a new idea, a fact I didn't know, a new technique of debate or communication, a flaw in their logic, or maybe even a perspective I hadn't considered. I won't necessarily love or even like everyone just by listening to them, but I may understand the person speaking a bit better and be reminded that we're all just humans and most of us are essentially good and just want the same thing: safety for ourselves and our families, the ability to work and enjoy the fruits of our labor, and to be understood. So when someone's trying to voice something, maybe try to view their statement through that lens and give yourself the opportunity to be taught something new, to understand someone different than yourself. Maybe if we all try it, we'll be part of the solution in reducing this trend of violence and maybe somehow be enriched in the process. Maybe not, but either way, I think it's worth a try. Continuing with this idea of the need for tolerant listening, I've been asked as chair via a number of different requests to in effect silence speakers at board meetings. I have conscientiously chosen not to do so. The express purpose of this board is to give voice to the members of the district, and the meeting is framed in such a way to do so while allowing us to conduct our business. It's not my role, nor within my purview at a board meeting, to promote or quash any particular opinion, but only to ensure that voices are heard and process is being followed to the intended end of obtaining the vote of the board, so we can send it up the pipe to the city's elected officials and agencies so that they can consider it in making policy and various decisions. We need the free exchange of ideas here. At the monthly board meeting, this happens when speakers speak at public session about almost any topic, and when board members speak about the agenda topics during the discussion phase of every motion. We often have differing opinions, and it's all right to have them and to state them at the board meeting, as long as speakers are speaking respectfully and within the structure of the meeting and its agenda, and order is maintained. Every month, I conscientiously thank each and every one of you for showing up, caring for your generous donation of time, because I know that while this process is a laudable one, it's also a tedious one. I keenly keep in mind that your positions are unpaid and voluntary, that you are owed respect and gratitude for undertaking the responsibility as board member. And I hope that you all, as board members and community members, bear this in mind as well while you're listening and speaking to each other. So as always, I thank you for showing up and for caring and for your continued generous donation of your time. Very respectfully submitted, Lori Willis, Chair. So thank you. Do we now have Barbara Vellucci?
Yes.
Yay.
Yes.
Okay, so we are going to move back into our public session. I'm sorry, our public hearing. And Barbara,
Hi, everybody.
take it away. Thank you.
Okay, just let me get Pegasus because we have quite a few here. It's always like it's a lottery. Here we go, Pegasus. All right, this is a new application for wine, beer, and cider for Pegasus Brooklyn Incorporated, doing business as Pegasus, located at 8610 3rd Avenue. This establishment was opened in 1993 and approved for the SLA license in 2016. As of January 2022, this past January, a new person now owns this restaurant. This establishment's owner is Paris, forgive me if I mispronounce your name, Moisios, who was present. Maria Boyes, B-O-I-S, is the manager. They were both present. The attorney, Donald Bernstein, was not present. And yes, we were in quorum, before you ask, Lori. We were in quorum for this entire evening. There is no certificate of occupancy for this building. There is a letter of no objection for 74 persons. The expectation is that there wouldn't be more than 60 persons in at any one time. The questionnaire was complete with a menu, premise photos. There will be background recorded music inside the establishment. There will be outdoor space, or there is outdoor space used in front of the establishment as part of the Department of Transportation open restaurants program, as long as the COVID regulations are in effect. There will be 4 tables and 12 chairs and on the front sidewalk. There will not be any promoters, private parties, or security. Mr. Moisios worked in this restaurant as an employee before he bought it. After a discussion period, the committee's decision was to move to deny this application unless the owner agreed to the following stipulations. The premise will operate as a restaurant. The owner will become familiar with New York State Liquor Authority regulations. There will be no sale or consumption of alcohol on the premise until appropriate authorization is issued by the SLA. BYOB, bring your own booze, is not permitted in New York State. The hours of operation will be 7 days a week, 8 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Monday through Saturday. On Sunday, the hours will be 8 a.m. through 4 p.m. There will only be background recorded music. The doors and windows are to remain closed when the music is playing, and the sound level will be monitored and remain below the level permitted by the New York City Noise Code. There will be no music on the outside of the premises. There will be use of outdoor space with the COVID allowance with 4 tables and 12 chairs during usually the spring and the summer. There will not be any promoters or promoted events. There will be no smoking permitted. There will be no subletting. There will be at least a 20% visible view into the establishment at eye level. And the applicant agrees that should it change its method of operation, it will give notice and meet with the community board and the committee at least 45 days in advance of any such change. And the applicant has agreed to the above stipulations. Are there any questions from the board members? Seeing none, I ask that this be made into a motion for the board. Steve? Thank you. A second?
Well, Barbara, because you met in quorum, it's already on the floor. So
There you go.
you
I'll
don't
never
need a
get this
second.
right.
You're open to discussion. Nobody has any comments. So I think we're ready for a vote.
Okay, ready for a vote.
I've just launched the poll. I just want to remind everyone that this is for board members only.
And I hate to be this guy. It's in favor to decline with the stipulations, right?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
correct.
Yes. No, you be that guy, because if you're confused, I'm sure someone else is. It's such an unnatural way to phrase it, but it is what the SLA wants. So
Okay, so motion carries all.
Okay, thank you. What's next for you, Josephine?
Let's see. Next for me is Kebab.
Okay. Kebab. Okay, this is a new application for wine, beer, and cider for Peptic Inc., doing business as Kebab Turkish restaurant, located at 8602 4th Avenue. This is a new application. The establishment's owner, Aiden was not present, but the attorney, Kathleen Negri Stanthopoulos, was present. There is a certificate of occupancy, and there will be fewer than 74 persons occupying the establishment. The questionnaire was complete. The menu, premise photos were provided. There will be background recorded music inside the establishment. There will be live music once a month on the weekend, consisting of a two-piece band with one vocalist. There will be outdoor space used in accordance with the COVID open table allowance until it ends with the city. Right now, it's slated for December 2022. The outdoor space is on 86th Street side with 12 tables and 24 chairs. There will not be any promoters, private parties, or security. The owner has had a business named OBA Grill in Forest Hills. And that's it. You know, within the file, there was some mention about construction permit violations and boiler inspection violations, but that was basically with the older owner. Okay. After a discussion period, the committee's decision was to move to deny this application unless the owner agreed to the following stipulations. The premise will operate as a restaurant. The owner will become familiar with the New York State SLA regulations. There'll be no sale or consumption of alcohol on the premises until appropriate authorization is issued by the SLA. BYOB, bring your own booze, is not permitted in New York State. The hours of operation will be 7 days a week, 10 a.m. to 11 p.m., Sunday through Thursday. Friday and Saturday, the hours will be 10 a.m. to 12 a.m. There will only be background recorded music except for the live vocalist and two-piece band once a month on the weekend. The doors and windows are to remain closed when the music is playing, and the sound level will be monitored and remain below the level permitted by the New York City Noise Code. There will be no music on the outside of the premises. There will only be use of outdoor space through, as we say, December 22, in accordance with the COVID allowance. The licensee shall not use any promoter or have promoted events. There will be no smoking permitted. There will be no subletting. There will be at least a 20% visible view into the establishment at eye level. And the applicant agrees that should it change its method of operation, it will give notice and meet with the community board at least 45 days in advance of any such change. And this applicant has agreed to the above stipulations. Any discussion?
Any questions, any comments, anybody?
Hey, Larry, just unmute yourself, Larry.
No, about the, you said there were issues with the boiler and so forth from the previous owner?
It was from the previous owner. That's been taken care of.
Resolved, or is that what happened?
Yes.
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 resolved.
I saw there was a certificate of occupancy you had on the documents?
Yes.
Yes. Anybody else?
Barbara, I have a question. That three-piece ensemble or the
two-piece with the singer.
Two-piece with a singer. Is that amplified or not amplified, or did they specify?
Well, it's going to be, you know, I would assume if you have a saxophone and a guitar, something to that effect. Is Aiden I here? No.
Okay, so the applicant is not, I don't see, or the applicant's representative here.
Right.
Okay, well, it's a mystery. Okay. Anyone else? Oh, Steve Harrison. How you doing, Steve?
Hi, Steve.
Doing marvelous. I just have one question. Just remind me what the address is.
8602 4th Avenue. It's right on the corner of 86th and 4th.
I know the one you're talking about. Yes. Okay.
Okay, that's it. We have no one else. So.
Okay,
Barbara?
so the motion is on the floor. Do I need a second? I need a second.
No, you're good. You just go. You
I'm
called.
good.
Oh, wait, Doris Cruz got one in right at the end. Go ahead,
Wow.
Oh, Doris, you're on mute.
Doris. Doris. Yeah.
I was just going to second the motion.
Oh, okay.
Oh no, we met in quorum. It's all good. So I think we're ready to call the question.
Okay.
And
questions up.
I see the poll is up. Board members only, right, Joe?
Yes, board members only, please.
I don't want to step on your toes. That's your
Thank you.
announcement. I know.
Thank you all. Motion carries.
Excellent. Barbara, take it away.
Josephine, what's next on your slideshow?
So next on my slideshow is spicy Sichuan, but you could make your announcement about that.
Right, as most of you already know, I always have my reports prepared before the committee report, so we have a direction. Now, Josephine, do you want me to read through the whole thing?
No.
Or do we wait? Okay,
Wait.
so whole report was prepared for spicy or spice. The application has one name and the awning has another, but the owners and the attorney, no one showed up. So the committee denied the application.
And then following today we received in writing from the owner. They apologized, the representative profusely, said they would not proceed with submitting their application to the State Liquor Authority and requested an adjournment to the June Police and Public Safety meeting.
Josephine, you speak with them saying that we did get a report that they are using alcohol? They are bringing their own? Okay.
Yes, we did.
Okay. Thank you.
So, Lori, could we just adjourn this item?
Yeah, I think the committee voted yes to adjourn. So because, oh no, I'm sorry, that's right. The committee voted to deny. So then we would need a motion. We would have to, since that motion is on the floor to deny, what we can do is we can vote on that motion, vote it up or down. And if someone else wants to make a request, a motion that we adjourn, we can do so. Based
Well,
upon
may
the
I make a
applicant's-
motion that we adjourn, because if we continue to deny them with the fact that they are bringing alcohol right now, then they'll have free reign on doing whatever they want. So we can give them until June, right? You're looking at me funny, Lori. I could tell from here. If we move
I'm sorry, I need to fix my face. I didn't really know. I'm sorry, Barbara.
If we move forward with the denial,
yeah,
then they're free to do what they want. And as they're right now, they are bringing alcohol in.
Oh,
So
you're saying
I
if
asked that we
move
should
forward-
adjourn
yeah.
for.
Well, the applicant has agreed that they will not move ahead with their application before the SLA. They've given it in writing to Josephine. Normally what we do under these circumstances is that we just put it over to the next meeting to allow them to present. But normally it's the committee's custom to, if an applicant, does not appear to present and, review their application with the committee normally, votes to deny. Steve, do you have your hand up from before, or do you have your hand up now?
I have my hand up now.
Go.
I just want to know, were they aware, did they indicate that whether they were or were not aware that they that it was impermissible under New York state law to bring your own booze?
So Dorothy did speak to the representative, who said that they would immediately notify the applicant to stop BYOB, period. So that they did get that message.
Yeah, but they didn't, that doesn't answer the question as to whether they knew prior to that.
Yeah.
That they were not permitted to sell or to have people bring their own.
Did we have an
Correct.
indication one way or the other?
We just told them to stop doing it. We didn't ask if
Okay.
they knew, we just told them to stop.
Okay. So we don't know if they knew or not, Steve. We didn't get enough communication to ascertain that.
I guess I'm gonna have to stop by there.
Yes. Okay. So, all right. So I think that we should, Joe, I don't know how you have your polling feature set up, but if we want to vote, put up the committee's recommendation to straight up deny, we can do that if you want to, and then we can put Barbara's motion on the floor to just adjourn based upon the applicant's statement that they'll show up next month and they will not file with the SLA in the interim. So you want to just do it by a show of hands? I mean, it was the committee's recommendation, so I can't really.
Yeah, I have it on the poll if you wanted to
Oh, okay. I didn't know how you were fixed with the polling feature. So, okay. So this is up for the committee's recommendation to do a straightforward denial. If this passes, then we're done. If it does not pass, then I think Barbara wanted to make a motion to allow them to come and present next month based upon their representation that they would not proceed with their liquor license application until then. So.
Right. And do you have a question?
Yes. So
go ahead, Ann. I'm sorry.
If we are in favor of adjourning, the course of action would be to oppose this motion,
Right.
in the hopes of the second motion.
Yes, thank you. Very simply stated. Thank you.
I accidentally hit in favor and I'd like to oppose. Is that?
Okay, all right,
Can I-
Justin.
I did the same, I did the same thing.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Okay.
All right, Julie Thumb as well. Anybody else?
Doris did the
Oh,
wrong
Doris
thing.
did it too. Okay, all right.
Thank
Thank you
you,
very
Doris,
much, Ann. Okay.
Okay, so then I'm gonna end it. So the opposition carries because we'll add 5 more, so that's 26 opposed.
Okay. So
Okay.
now, Barbara, you had a motion that you were making?
I have a motion that I would like to have this hearing moved to next month, adjourned till next month.
Okay. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay,
Thank you, Sandy.
so now
Okay.
I'm going to launch.
Questions, comments, discussion?
So now we want to vote in favor if you want them to come back in June.
Yeah, okay. So I see no hands up. We're ready for a vote. Call the question. Board members only, please submit your vote.
Okay, all motion carries. They'll be
Oh,
here
thank
next
you
month.
very much.
Very nice.
Continue, please, Ms. Vellucci.
Josephine, which one do you have next on our slide
We
presentation?
have Bocce next.
Here we go. All right. So here is a new application for liquor, wine, beer, and cider for Bocce Bay Ridge Limited, doing business as Bocce at 8420, 8422, 8424 3rd Avenue. Now, I said that this is a new application. The applicant is Alessandro Borgognone. He is the new owner. The lease is contingent upon getting the liquor license. He was present at Alessandro. His attorney, Michael Kelly, was present. But as of now, because it was a little confusing, if you think you're confused, the former owner is still running the restaurant. He's sort of like an absent owner. And that was Salvatore Finazzo, I believe, Josephine. The applicant has included on the application that he has prior experience in the restaurant business, and he cites that he owns dozens of restaurants. The questionnaire was complete, the menu, the premise photos, the floor plans. There will be background recorded music on the inside of the establishment. There may be private parties such as birthday parties or showers, but they will not be promoted events. The restaurant is set up for no more than 74 persons. Now, we have a series of problems that we discussed. The Bocce license with the former owner became inactive as of April 11th, 2022. So of course, a little over a week ago, I stopped by there and alcohol is being sold as though they still had a license. Mr. Alessandro said that he would go back and discuss this with the owner of the building and with the former owner. But since he's not in there yet, he is limited, but he is trying. We got a word from a resident stating that they still see alcohol being sold. There will be outdoor space in accordance with the open restaurant. But this will only be on 3rd Avenue, The side street, I believe, has already been taken down. There were several application revisions. And then some of these things are, will you not have smoking? And he said he will review all of that and just check the right box. As you all remember, Bocce has had serious and detrimental adverse history with 300 complaints and calls to 311. The tenants were recording the music in their apartments. The dishes was shaking. It was extremely loud. There was dancing. There was fireworks. Alessandro assures me that this will not happen. It does not happen in his other restaurants, but he has to actually get in there in order to have a real effect. This is, from what I gather, Josephine, correct me, that's sort of like in between hands right now, where the old owner basically is absent and the waiters are running the establishment. Did you get that, Josephine?
Yeah, I got that sense that there's a manager there who's running it and no real owner yet.
Right.
Which I don't know, doesn't make real sense to me. He made my understanding from what he described, I think, was the building owner that's stepped in.
Right. Okay. I guess Sal just gave up on it. So after a discussion period, we have, of course, several stipulations, but I see some hands up right now. So I'm going to take that before I continue. So let's start in the order I see it. Julie Thumb, have.
Barbara, can we just get the committee's motion before we get into discussion? Just get the recommendation up and then we'll.
All right, so after a discussion period, the committee's decision was to move to deny this application unless the owner agreed to the following stipulations. Okay. That the premise will operate as a restaurant. The certificate of occupancy states 100, but the restaurant is set for 74, and that will be adhered to. The owner will adhere to New York State Liquor Authority regulations. There will be no sale or consumption of alcohol on the premises until appropriate authorization is issued by the SLA, and bring your own booze is not permitted in New York State. The hours of operation will be 7 days a week, Monday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m., Friday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., Saturday, 10 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Sundays, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. There will only be background recorded music indoors with teacup speakers. The doors and windows are to remain closed when the music is playing, and the sound level will be monitored and remain below the level permitted by the New York City Noise Code. There will be no music on the outside of the premises. The speakers on the outdoor structure are to be removed immediately. And I believe the email said that happened. There will only be use of outdoor space on 3rd Avenue with open restaurants at COVID allowance. The outdoor structure should be opened and not enclosed. The licensee shall not use any promoter or have promoted events. There will be no smoking permitted. There will be no subletting. There will be at least a 20% visible view into the establishment at eye level, and the applicant agrees that should it change its method of operation, it will give notice and meet with the community board at least 45 days in advance of any such change. Now, the applicant agreed to these stipulations and the committee approved it. So I'm going to, like I said, take questions from those who have had their hands raised. With Julie Thumb, I see her first.
Thank you, Barbara. So just to be clear, once the new owner takes over, the old owner will no longer have any involvement?
Yes,
Gone.
he's gone.
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 Gone. Totally gone.
Totally
Okay.
gone.
Okay. So, and then if these situations should arise again with what happened previously, who is going to enforce it?
Well, that's a question to every restaurant.
Because
will the police enforce it? Will they go there and do what they need to do? And that's a question I have had for 3 years.
Because they have a history, obviously.
And there's several restaurants.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I see Ann Felatico next.
Yes. Forgive me for not being fully knowledgeable of the open streets regulation. Are they removing the outdoor eating on the 85th Street side because it's not compliant or because they just opt to remove it?
They don't want it and it's not being used. When I went into the restaurant last Sunday evening, the tables, the chairs were on top of the table. So they're not using it and they don't want it. So I believe that was already taken down.
Yes,
Okay.
it was removed.
Oh, okay. Also related to the use under the open streets privilege, they are occupying the frontage in front of the adjacent lawyer's office. And to the best of my knowledge, that's not acceptable. They're taking up their own street fronts plus the lawyer's office.
Okay.
Josephine, I believe that at a certain point, and I don't know how exactly, no one knows how the rules are coming down at the moment, but I thought that they were allowed to build in front of an adjoining store premises as long as that owner consented as well.
That is correct. Under
Yeah.
the emergency order for open restaurants, with the permission of the adjacent owner, they could erect under the new, the permanent open restaurants program, which was in litigation through an Article 78, is now on hold. So there has not been rule formation. But when it was discussed at that point during that process, they had said, no, that wouldn't be moving forward permitted.
Right, but that's not in effect yet, right? So.
Correct.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to try to, as far as we could, figure out where we are with that.
And
Go ahead,
that's
Ann, I'm
even
sorry.
true in the case where the restaurant occupies 3 fronts. I would think that appealing to the neighbor is for a very narrow shop that just has an impractical sort of floor area. But with three storefronts already, I'd just like to say it's excessive to be in front of the neighbor as well. They're stretching perhaps about a third of the block at least.
And they're parking on the outside, which I mentioned. And, you put it to a list of valet and the other people park there. And I don't know who's parking there. I mean, it's not only that restaurant that's doing that, that's just a very bad corner. And I'm just hoping when you take down the structure on 85th Street that it eases up a little bit. It's a terrible corner.
Okay. You want to go to Judy next, Barbara?
Well, Judy just moved on my thing, but I'll take her. Go ahead, Judy.
Snuck in there. Go ahead, Judy.
I'm puzzled how the new owner could be saying, I'm not an owner yet he filed for a liquor license. It makes no sense to me. Don't you have to be the owner of a premises before you can even file? I mean, isn't he ahead of his game, or is he bullshitting that he's not the owner yet?
No.
Did I hear that bad word? Josephine.
Barbara.
Yeah.
Barbara.
Wait a minute. Okay.
Sandy did ask that question. Yeah, Sandy did ask that question.
So do you have an answer? Or am I just
Barbara.
Hi, Alessandro. Although
One
you're
question.
saying Mike Kelly again. Are you?
When you go buy a home, right? And you go into contract, isn't there a contingency usually that you can't buy the home unless you get the mortgage or you sell your house?
Yeah, well, this is, I guess, yeah, that's an analogy, but I think what Judy is really, I think might be the answer is, Judy is saying when you put in, and it's a question for the, of SLA requirements, when you put in your application, are you allowed to make an application if you do not already own? And I think that if you have, and I think that it may be the case. I think it's the case with Mr. Bourguignon. If you have a contract that's contingent upon you getting your liquor license, that you're allowed to make the application because your lease right, your lease will, for the premises, will go into effect, upon that meeting that contingency. So I don't think that's an uncommon practice, to my knowledge.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, I'm going to take Stephanie Simon.
Oh, you're muted.
You have to unmute, Stephanie.
Thank you. Actually, it was the same question as Judy's about the ownership, and you clarified it Thank you very much.
Habib?
Good evening again, everyone. I think from my experience, you could operate if you have a contingency in your contract, you could operate on the old owner's liquor license until you get yours. I have been through that, I have seen it. That's, I said, from experience. If it is in the contract and the old owner would accept the responsibility to operate under his name, it is permissible. So I think we should clarify with the owners to see if they have that contract or not.
No,
And I know
Habib, I just want to clarify for the record, there is no SLA license for this premise currently. There is no, there is no, okay? Just,
Right, it ended in April. With
It ended
that,
in April.
I'm gonna go back to Alessandro. So what's happening? I didn't check this weekend. 'cause
No,
you
I
told me
but
tomorrow.
Barbara,
Mark my words,
Barbara,
tomorrow.
I wish you did, because I was expecting you to go there at some point, and I was happy that
Trying
you
to.
did go. So I removed 85th Street for you on my expense, the whole thing, and that was gone.
Not for me. It's not for me.
But for everyone. Second, I made sure that the speakers were cut on the outside and removed. And third, I had clarified, and I had spoken in detail with the landlord. So not to put everybody's business up in the air, but the old owner has certain issues and he's actually away due to certain habits that he had. So there's no way that we could have access to him and I could speak to the old owner. So my only point of contact is the manager that's there at this point in time, which I know very well, and the landlord. And I made sure, and I also have a picture, especially from today, that there is no liquor on the bar. If they are hiding the liquor in the bathroom, I don't know this, but there is no liquor on the bar. So I was hoping.
Show up there Wednesday afternoon,
I hope you do.
and I can.
So may I have
But
a
I told you,
question.
Barbara, I'm closing it.
You know,
If I may, I have a question. Mr. Borgignon, are you running the restaurant now, or?
No, I'm not. I'm not running the restaurant now.
Okay.
I'm definitely not. I'm waiting until everything clears up, especially with, the contingencies that I have. And so I could take on the lease and then go forward with everything. Once I get the contingency, once everything is approved, I plan on closing it down to renovate it until the liquor license comes in. And then once the liquor license comes in, I put everything in full motion. I was planning to close it down, move all those guys out of there so I don't lose them to the Staten Island location.
Okay, so I just wanted to clarify though, so that when you say you're doing things, like when you say, oh, I'm taking down the shed or I'm taking down the speakers, it's not, is that actually?
Me
like,
having a conversation with the landlord and having a conversation with the general manager in order for me to have this deal go through, this is what needs to be done.
So you're using your leverage on your contract and kind
Correct.
of getting compliance. Okay. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Thank you, Barbara.
No. That's it.
I believe that the next one is my friend Steve, and I'm going to tell you, Steve, next year I'm coming back and I'm going to be identifying as Steve Harrison. I'm going to be you next year. Go ahead, Steve.
You do that, Barbara. It's good seeing you. Okay, I just want to know why, from the owner, excuse me, his name escapes me at this moment.
Alessandro.
Okay, Mr. Alessandro, if he's willing to put into the stipulation that there will be no direct or indirect shadow ownership of the business.
Absolutely.
Then I would move that we add that to it.
If I may, point of clarification, Steve, is that the language you're proposing? Shadow ownership? Or?
I think we can discuss the language, but I think my intent is clear.
Are you the sole owner?
I am going to be the sole owner. Yes.
Okay.
Oh, but there'll be no shadow ownership.
No, and if there is another owner that might come on, I'll have him go on to the license. Okay,
but even then, that might be somebody, but there will be no shadow ownership that someone finds out about. Like, in other words, you have him, but it's something where you have a deal with him, that kind of a thing. We're concerned about that.
I don't necessarily understand what that means. Who would I have? a
That
deal with?
means that the person, there's just nothing in writing, anything of that nature, but he's the person who's controlling.
No, not at all.
Okay, then I think that we can make language to that effect.
We can. Okay, so I'm going to say that Alessandro Borgignon will be the sole owner. I mean, I don't know what you want to say.
No shadow
people or
ownership.
silent partners. That's why they're called silent partners.
That works for me.
Even, but do you know what happens are you familiar with the restaurant business? What ends up happening is you got a manager that's there for years and years and years and years and years, right? People become so familiar with him that at the end of the day, the guy that he actually ends up feeling, because he runs the place, he feels like an owner, and he turns around and he meets a whole bunch of people and they say, "Are you the owner?" And he goes, "Yeah, I'm a partner."
But he's
so
not.
That happens all the time, correct?
But he's not.
I understand that.
All right. So that's what I'm saying to you. We don't want someone here who can be controlling it. And the person who, even if he's there for a long period of time, yes, I understand that he builds up his own constituency, but that doesn't make him an owner. What we're saying is that you're the guy, when you sign, that's it. Nobody else can sign, period.
Absolutely. But I have just a simple question for you. But how would you know if that went on in my restaurant or another restaurant?
But we probably wouldn't, but if in fact we found out, then you have something where you have a problem.
I'll be more than happy to sign it.
Okay.
All right, Steve, would you like to word that stipulation for me?
I think you did a great job.
I'd like to know how it's going to be worded.
Yeah.
That there'll be no direct, that you'll be the sole owner and there will be no shadow ownership besides yourself.
Okay.
Well, I guess Taurus is up next. I have confusion with the term shadow ownership.
Well, then use indirect ownership or silent partner. I even like the idea of silent partner. That's a good one.
My concerns are about the manager. Right now, the manager who is there is the manager who has overseen this restaurant during their most egregious behavior. What is his history? What is his future there?
I'll be more than happy to go over everything once I come to ownership. At this point in time, there's only so much that I could possibly do. I'll take everything into consideration. As I said to you, the restaurant will be closing down for about 2 months to renovate and freshen up the place. And at that point in time, I shall make certain decisions. I cannot promise you that I'm going to be firing people because of whatever the case might be. But what I can promise you is that I will be controlling everybody and allowing, making them do things in a proper manner.
But
right,
you
so what
have several establishments, and you currently this establishment, Bocce, currently has a manager that has been a real detriment to our community. And to be moving forward with that person in place, I think is irresponsible.
Well, but you know what? In fairness, Doris, I'm going to tell you that because it's the same thing with schools with the principals and assistant principals. If the owner, who right now is missing in action, allows a manager to do whatever they want, I think I'm going to have to say that the new owner will have to take, and the way I worded the stipulation was that the owner will be the sole owner with no silent partners, and he will have direct supervision of the manager. How about that?
That sounds good.
Yes.
Lori, how does that sound to you?
If the applicant is, I mean, I don't know. I'm not, I have no particular commentary to make at this point.
Okay.
Steve, you have your hand up again?
No.
Or just from before? Oh, okay.
Okay.
I'll
Larry?
put it down.
Larry, one more.
How long will the restaurant be closed for renovation?
About 2 months or so. Once again, it's a painting, getting the kitchen in order, stuff like that.
In the middle of summer
Stephanie?
we're talking about, or what?
I'm sorry?
You're in the middle of summer, or when these?
I'm not necessarily sure. Everything is basically, once again, contingent on exactly what goes on, and then I could plan from there.
And Stephanie? Unmute.
Please clarify, when the board goes to vote on this motion, all the stipulations refer to the owner, but the owner is currently the gentleman who's going to be the previous owner. Does that make a difference? when
It doesn't.
we-
make-
No, this is in consideration that this will be the owner of Alessandro.
This is for the
It's-
applicant, this current applicant.
It's
Mr.
okay, so the name
Alexandra
is-
The current applicant.
Okay, all right, I'm sorry. Thank you very much
That's
again.
okay.
Doris, is your hand up again, or is that an
And
old
no, it
hand?
is up again. Sorry, it's, because of the adverse history at this location, we normally say if you're going to change your operations, you have to come back in so many months. I would like to say, I would like, if there are more than, and I'll ask Josephine to quantify me, a certain number of complaints after the reopening of the restaurant, that the owner come back to us.
Well, do you want to
I
have
don't
a
think it-
3-month Go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Barbara.
No, do you want to put in a stipulation to have a 6-month review?
No,
Or
three.
reviews as
Three.
requested?
3 months, 3 months,
3 months?
3 months.
Okay, I'm going to add that.
Only because of the adverse history of the site
Okay.
and
We'll
the
put that
possibility
down.
that the
Let me
state
ask
manager
you a
will be
question,
there.
Doris. How many
Request
complaints?
for, one second, request for a 3-month review. That's after 3 months after he's open and
Yes.
as requested, okay?
Barbara,
Yeah.
I got a question for you. How many complaints have come in the last 3 months? 2 to 3 months.
I don't have the file any longer in front of me. I, use it.
I could pull that,
There were a
Barbara.
few, right? There were a few.
From August
The noise.
21 to the present, it dropped considerably to 13 noise complaints. The
You know why?
the last noise complaint was filed was November 14th of 21.
Do you know why? Because the old owner or the current owner that's there hasn't been there since January 1st because he's been in rehab. And the manager that's running it now, which is a decent young individual, he was just guided the wrong way, is the reason why. So with Doris saying about the manager and so on, I definitely understand all your concerns. But the reason why all those complaints went down and the last complaint was in November is because the old owner is no longer there and he's no longer capable of actually going to work. So the real problem here was the actual old owner. It's not the staff that was there. They were just following the wrong people. They were following their boss's lead. But the people that are running it now are running it in a different way, and there's not one complaint coming in. So the real problem was Salvatore Finazzo.
Other than they're selling alcohol for a month without a license.
Well, I don't even think they knew. Because at the end of the day, when I had the conversation, the manager turned around to me and goes, I didn't even know. He goes, the license is still up on the wall. I didn't know it was, you know what I mean? It was taken away.
But what's the big deal of coming back? You have a 5-minute conversation if everything's fine.
Well,
I'm sorry?
What's the big deal about coming back in 3 months? If everything is fine, you can say, hi, everything's working, and we'll say, great.
well, normally what we do is we do
No, he's not
request.
debating that.
What's that?
No, Doris.
Yeah, he's not debating it. Like I was saying, normally we do, we often have new applicants when someone's, going to be taking over a business, we say, hey, if the board receives, complaints, we don't put a specific number on it. We ask them to just cooperate and come on back in and have a conversation in an effort to resolve them. And this isn't,
And that's fair.
Yeah.
And that's completely fair.
so he's agreeing to that, Doris. Okay, Barbara, you want to, any other?
Right, so we've added 2 stipulations to the others. One, that he will be the sole owner and have no silent partners, and then he will have direct supervision of the manager. And then that we request a 3-month review. It's of course after he opens and as requested as it comes up.
Okay, I'm sorry, I see we've got a hand up, Sandra.
Tanya, hi, it's me. How are you? Ciao, Al. I just have a comment. I understand Bocce was a catastrophe in the neighborhood and there were a lot of issues and, complaints and so forth. But this is going to be a new owner who is going to establish a different type of environment. And I think that personally, he's agreed to everything. I just wish you the best of luck, Al. But
Thank you.
seriously, I think that, we need to give him the benefit of the doubt. He's a well-known businessman. He has other restaurants. He's been in the business for years. And I don't think that he should suffer for what Bocce may have done or didn't do. I'm just making a comment. That's all I had to say.
Everybody
Okay.
understands that, but
Yep.
considering that, you know, the reputation of the restaurant and perhaps what the clientele who goes there is expecting, he and us representing the residents have to really put it out there of what we expect and what is acceptable and unacceptable. And that's why we say the things we do. As a matter of fact, not very long ago, and I'm going to, tell you, Alessandro, because I have heard this, that you are not going to be the real owner. Do you have?
I'm not going to be the real owner.
Right. That's the story out there. Okay.
So who? I got a question for you. So, out of curiosity, so who is going to be the real owner?
That's the grapevine story is that heads up, he is not going to be the real owner. Now, my thing is that the real owner is the one who's going to be on the application, and you're going to be responsible for it. So if anything happens, the New York State authorities will come after you.
Okay,
Am I correct with that?
if I may offer this, because, I also see there's a question from a member of the public, addressing this sort of ownership and control issue. And one of the ways that we've resolved this in the past, if I can just maybe throw this out to move things along, is that, obviously the owner is an entity, right? And then the entity is then, can be owned by one or more persons. What we usually do is we have an undertaking, in the stipulation, basically that, if this person says he's going to be the responsible person, or, he's going to be on site, that we have them stipulate that they're going to be the responsible person at this establishment, that this individual will be the responsible person at the establishment, and or, that they will be there, physically, during operating hours or certain operating hours. I understand, in the restaurant business, it's not practical to be there all the time.
Correct.
But, I think that I'm seeing, we've got some, I see in the chat, people are confused about this. And quite frankly, it's a little bit confusing to me to say, I'm confused as to exactly what that stipulation is, so that everyone can be clear when we vote on it. Is the applicant agreeing that he will only be the sole owner and never transfer any membership interest? Is he saying that, the buck will stop with him essentially? So that's my question on that. I understand Steve's concern in that, he's saying, listen, you're coming before us, Mr. Bourguignon, saying, okay, look, I'm running the place and the buck stops here. And, we feel, we want a way in order to ensure that we don't end up with a situation where, it's being run by someone else. I do understand that, but I do think there needs to be a little clarification here. And I know, if you want to, offer up something on that, that you're willing to stipulate to sort of in a more clear way, for me at least. Does that mean that, the buck stops with you and you're the one who's going to handle things, or you'll be on premise?
I'm saying yes to almost every stipulation, right? But the one thing that I won't do, this is actually a business. And unfortunately, I get exactly what you guys are saying, but it's a business. And it's nothing more than a business. And I understand the concerns of all the constituents that are in the neighborhood, and I'm trying to clear them all up. And I put my best foot forward the other day with you guys. I made sure that the things that you were concerned about are gone, correct? And I'm doing everything that I possibly can. But for another individual to turn around to me and say to me that, number one, you're not the real owner, there's someone else. Okay, it's all hearsay. Right? And that's not the truth, because at the end of the day, I have 9 more licenses out there under my name. Why would I jeopardize them for a place that I'm not going to be at? I'm not going to be the real owner. That's number one. Number two, I don't think anyone on the board has any right to limit the ability, if one day I wanted to take on a partner and I wanted to sell my shares and bring that partner to the community board, add them in legally on the SLA license. No one can. At the end of the day, the money that I'm investing in order to put this back into action is a lot of money, and there's only so much that I could possibly do. I rather, at this point in time, I'm hearing everything out. I'm looking to do the right thing by everybody, but there's only so much. Maybe perhaps certain people don't really understand the business world. I get it. I'm looking to do everything I possibly can to make you guys happy. Not only make you guys happy, make all the constituents happy. I rather the neighborhood say, you know what, it's a great restaurant. They don't bother anyone. The food is good. Fantastic. Hopefully they'll be there another 20 years, but there's only so much that I could put in stipulations.
All right, Josephine.
Or I
let me
burn
ask you.
myself.
All right, Josephine, if it was a new owner, we would have to have a new application.
That is
When
correct.
the
Also, if
SLA
they-
needs takes on an additional owner, does that initiate a new application again?
if there is a significant change in the partnership or in the ownership, in the number of shares, a majority of shares, then an alteration application has to be made. If it is, I believe it's greater than, I have to check the percentage, but if it's a certain
49.
percentage,
Yeah.
50% or more, then
Right.
there is a notification required to the community board,
Yeah, essentially a controlling interest. Yep.
controlling interest.
But that's part of the SLA, not necessarily from us.
No.
No, they have to, right, if it's more than 50%, then it does have to come back to the community board.
All right, but that's not something that we stipulated. New York State stipulates that.
That's part of the
Yes.
ABC law, yes.
Yes,
Okay,
part of the
so-
law. Yes, New York State.
In consideration of this, then, can we just change that stipulation to say that Alessandro will have direct supervision of management?
Would you agree to that, Mr. Borgonio?
Of course I would.
Okay,
Right?
all right.
Okay, so-
Steve,
so
does that
that's the
satisfy
stipulation.
you? Would you agree to that?
No, I'm-
Actually, you got me? Hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to point out, I'm not trying to stop him from getting a partner or anything. Exactly what we're doing right now is that if in fact he takes on a partner or something of that nature, it's just something that he really should tell us about. We know about it. Okay, because he's right. It is a business. I have no problem with that whatsoever.
Mhm.
But I just want to make sure that there's no shadow in the back. That's all. So that anything like that has to be disclosed. And
Well, I
has
think
to be.
that might be just, well, he's not willing to not change the configuration, but obviously he stated he will abide by the SLA law requirements that if there's a controlling interest conveyed.
that's
and-
fine.
And that he is responsible for the management.
Right.
That's fine.
That's what I'm going to
Okay,
put in.
thank
That he's
you.
responsible
All right,
for the
and-
direct supervision of the management, the idea about,
Okay.
silent partners and things like that. Like you said, part of it comes under the SLA and not us.
Okay, Anne?
Yes, Barbara, would you repeat the hours of operation, please?
Sure. 7 days a week, Monday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m. Friday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. Sundays, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m.
Thank you.
Okay, Ruth?
Yeah, I think it's time to move on with the.
Okay, so you want to call the question?
with the vote,
Okay.
Because I think this guy has been agreeable to everything. He's a new owner, and I, for one, look forward to the new restaurant being successful.
Ruth, I'll shake you a martini myself.
Thank you.
Not
Ruth.
allowed to do that, but thank you.
I'm kidding.
Okay, thank you very much. So I think that we are ready to call the question and put up a vote.
All right.
So all in favor?
What is the
of-
question? What is the question? Can we just have the question again?
You want the steps read again? So it would be all in favor of the motion put forth by the committee with the one additional stipulation that the applicant has agreed to, that he will be individually responsible for the management of the operation. And Barbara, do you want to just read real quickly at Steve's request through the balance of the stipulations?
No.
Come on, speed read. I've got to be clear on the motion. Come on.
The premise
rip
will
off the
operate as a
Band-Aid.
restaurant. The restaurant is set up for 74 people, and that would be adhered to. The owner will adhere to New York State Liquor Authority regulations. There will be no sale or consumption of alcohol until the authorization is issued, no BYOB. We just read the hours of operation. There will only be background recorded music with teacup speakers. The doors and windows are to remain closed when the music is playing, and the sound level will be monitored and remain below the level permitted by New York City Noise Code. There will be no music on the outside of the premises. The speakers on the outdoor structure are to be removed immediately. There will only be use of outdoor space on 83rd Street in accordance with open restaurants. The outdoor structure should be opened and not enclosed. There will be no promoter or promoted events. There will be no smoking. There will be no subletting. There will be at least a 20% visible view into the establishment at eye level. That Alessandro will have direct supervision of the manager. The applicant agrees that should it change its method of operation, it will give notice within 45 days, and that we request a 3-month review and as requested going forward.
Okay, so everyone, your poll is up. Please vote.
Okay, well,
Thank you.
motion carries. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you
See
so
you
much.
soon, Alessandro.
I'm sorry.
See you soon.
This was one of the toughest boards I've been in front of.
Best of luck.
Thank you very,
Good luck to you.
thank you very
All right.
much for
Take care.
sticking
Bye-bye,
with
guys.
us, and welcome to the neighborhood.
Thank you.
And I thank you very much. Okay, Barbara, I think we are on a last one. Let's just like power through this.
Okay, so the last one is renewal for Candela Restaurant Corp. doing business as Red Oak Restaurant and Hookah Lounge. The owner, Waleed Mina, was present at this meeting. The attorney, Majed Hanna, was not present. In this file, there was only a 30-day notice to the board. The typed menu, the photos were very dark. There was no C of O for this building. The prior application notes the certificate of occupancy for 75. The letter of no objection is on hand. And all the information regarding this restaurant were reviewed from the original 2015 application, which made it a little difficult. The hours of operation, as written, Steve, don't start. The hours of operation in the application was Sunday through Thursday, 3 p.m. to 3 a.m., Friday and Saturday, 3 p.m. to 4 a.m., and outdoor space in front or in the rear closes at 12 a.m. From May 2021 through March 2022, there were 5 complaints regarding loud music or disruptions where the police responded. 3 out of the 5 times the police remedied the situation. The neighbors also claimed that because of this establishment's late hours, the patrons leave the establishment, make noise. Let me just fix some. Make noise by congregating in the neighborhood, disrupting their quality of life. In addition, they have witnessed these patrons coming out of the establishment and resting on the stoops of these people's property. At times, they smoke marijuana, further impinging on the residents' quality of life. So, in anticipation of this meeting, Mr. Mina is here. Waleed, I saw him before.
Yes, I'm here.
We had a discussion out of respect for the quality of life of our residents. We said also that it'd be very difficult to get this through this board if he was unwilling to change his hours of operation. And Steve, he was willing to change the hours of operation. So after a discussion period, the committee's decision was to move to deny this application unless the owner agreed to the following stipulations. The premise will operate as a restaurant and hookah lounge, and that was grandfathered in since it was before the New York City laws changed. That was from 2015. That there will be no sale or consumption of alcohol on the premises until appropriate authorization is issued by the SLA. It has not yet lapsed, and we reminded them that BYOB is not permitted in New York State. The hours of operation will be Sunday through Thursday, 3 p.m. to 2 a.m. instead of 3. Friday and Saturday, 3 p.m. to 2 a.m. instead of 4 in the morning. An outdoor space will only be used until 12 a.m. There will only be background recorded music. The sound level will remain below the level permitted by New York City Noise Code. The doors and windows are to remain closed in coordination with any amplified music. There will be no music or speakers on the outside of the premises, and lighting will follow New York City regulations. The licensee shall not use any promoter or have promoted events. The licensee shall not sublet. There will be no smoking permitted outside the premise, and smoke eaters will continue to alleviate smoke emanating from hookah use as agreed to on the prior stipulation agreement. That there will be at least a 20% visible view at eye level into the establishment, and the applicant agrees that should it change its method of operation, it will give notice and meet with the community board at least 45 days in advance of any such change. And this owner has agreed to all of these stipulations.
Okay, and just to clarify for everyone, this is a renewal. So they still have their license. It did not expire. This is a renewal application. And so we just brought them in because there were some community complaints in order to resolve some of the issues that the community was having. And in response to that, the owner did agree to some additional stipulations in addition to what they already had. So do we have any questions about this? Yes, go ahead, Doris.
Okay, I'm not sure, but the city has some very stringent regulations about hookah use and ventilation. Because when hookah is used, benzene is released, and benzene is toxic. And anybody who lives nearby is subject to that toxin. Are smoke eaters enough to do with that? And is that what is required under the relatively new laws by the city, by the Clean Air
Okay,
Act?
so if I may speak to this, because I was chair of the Police and Public Safety Committee at the time that they actually got their license for hookah. So they were a hookah establishment before all of those regulations went into effect. And it was sort of around that time that I think they were up for a renewal. And so we did review all the qualifications and the requirements with them at the time. They are many, with regard to clean air, with regard to the handling of the hot coals. I mean, there are many, many regulations that go into it. And that was reviewed at that time. And they, at that time, satisfied, the powers that be in order to get this license, that they had all that. So as far as we all know that was met, and they are compliant. And the smoke eaters were put in as a stipulation. Those were actually prior to the time that the new hookah laws went into effect. But in order for them to get their license after the law changed, they had to put in all the, upgraded ventilation and all that.
So do they have the upgraded ventilation to keep benzene from seeping into the apartments upstairs or next door?
The question specifically was not asked at committee whether or not benzene that word was not mentioned, or whether or not it's sufficient for that, but the question was asked whether or not they are up to all the legal requirements for that, for ventilation, and they stated that they did. So the question was asked.
I think that's a vague answer, and because benzene is truly toxic, and there are municipalities that have completely outlawed.
Let's see if we can get an answer from the applicant. I'm sorry, Mr. Minna, are you?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yes, okay, I'm sorry. Do you know whether or not your ventilation system handles the removal of benzene from the air?
Yes, and we actually, according to the new law, we changed even the type of call recommended by the fire department and the Department of Health to accommodate that. So we no longer have that issue.
Great, thank you. Anne?
Barbara, the question is for you, but it's really a general question. And that is, does the committee look for consistency in the hours of operation, or is it really individually thought? Is there a difference from one to the other?
I'll tell you what, based on the experience of this board, most places, if they're going to 3, 4 o'clock, it's many people on this board have serious concerns about that, because you remember that we are here for the residents. And in the file, there were several complaints from the neighbors right directly associated with this establishment, that the people leaving at 4 o'clock in the morning were congregating, were walking up the blocks and continuing conversations and stopping on their property. So as I suspect I am correct, that this board, based on my experience, will, if in any way possible, will not, really give an approval for things that go on to 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, if it in any way possibly can. And these owners were very considerate and willing to take into account the residents and their complaints, and I applaud them on that. So is it consistency? Yes, but is it based on also complaints from the neighbors? That too.
Okay, I respect that, and I respect that this particular applicant has dialed back the hours, but to me, even 2 o'clock is too late an hour to be operating on the, especially, I think it's changed and become more urgent that we watch this because of the open streets. When everything was closed behind, soundproof doors, it was a little bit different, but so it's just a general comment.
Okay, thank
about my concerns.
Okay, all right,
think it
I don't
should
see any
be
other
let-
commentary, so Barbara, I'd like to call the question.
Okay, I placed a poll up, and remember, again, board members only, please.
I am lost. I lost myself.
I don't have the poll.
Okay, you can, you can just give
Just
a
tell me
shout
how
out.
you're voting. Just give me a shout out.
Okay, so if you're voting in favor,
Yes.
you're voting in favor.
You're
of-
voting in favor of their renewal with the stipulations they've agreed to.
Okay, I say no.
Josephine, I lost most of my screen. I'm voting in favor.
Okay. So that means the motion carries.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you, Barbara, for all your hard work. You had a lot before you this month. And that concludes our public hearing. And now we are on to Josephine's district manager's report.
Lori, this is Judy Grimaldi. I have my hand up. I know the voting is over, but I think the comment that Anne made should really be noted, whether it become something that we address as a board, but the fact that the
Well,
restaurant.
Judy, can we bring this up in new business?
That's
Yeah.
a good
agree. That's
All right.
why I voted
Just so
no
we can, because
also.
we've got a lot of reports to get to. Just trying to, I don't want to stop anyone from talking, but it's running late. All right, thank you.
No
Okay.
sweat.
Thanks. Okay, go ahead, Joe.
Okay, good evening, board members. In the interest of time, my report tonight consists of a series of upcoming events, which are all posted on the website, and I'm going to email it to everyone. If some
Sorry,
interesting.
I don't have to attend this. I have to disconnect, right? This
Yes,
is
you can leave.
Yes.
okay. I'm so sorry. Thank you so much.
Okay, so board members, there are lots of events that are happening. Some were already announced that were in my report. I just want to say again that we have two events on Wednesday. One is an age-friendly committee meeting at 2. Another is our zoning and land use committee meeting, which we're going to have a presentation at 7. I'm going to email this all to you all. And our next meeting for Community Board 10 will be on Monday, June 13th, 1 week early than usual at 7 p.m. at the Knights of Columbus. The meeting was moved up 1 week due to the New York City holiday on June 20th for Juneteenth. So thank you, respectfully submitted. Look for that email tomorrow. Lori?
Thank you very much, Josephine. And now we are on to the treasurer's report with Shirley Chin. Shirley?
Okay, hello, good evening. So the treasurer's report as of April 30th, 2022, total personal services, we have 196,835.04 cents. Total other than personal services, we have 12,509.56 cents, leaving the unencumbered budget balance of 51,874.40 cents. Thank you.
Thanks, Shirley. Okay, and now we're on to our committee reports, and we have our Parks Committee report with Diane Gennardis.
Good evening, everyone. It's good to see you all again. This is the committee report for the Parks Committee, which was held on Thursday, April 28th. A joint meeting of the Parks Committee from Community Boards 10 and 11 was held via Zoom on Thursday, April 28th, 2022, beginning at 6 p.m. The Parks Committee from Community Board 10 met in quorum. There were 2 items on the agenda as follows. Agenda item number 1, reconstruction of the Shore Parkway Promenade. The committee welcomed Parks Commissioner Martin J. Mayer, his Chief of Staff, Davey Ives, Eric Lancelota, who is the engineer for this project, and our neighbors from Community Board 11, including District Manager Mari Elias Pavia and Parks Committee Chair Eileen LaRufa. The Parks Department presented their plans for a project funded by Councilman Justin Brannan to repair and rehabilitate the path from the Verrazano Bridge to Bay Parkway. The goal of this project is to bring the waterfront facility up to a state of good repair by extending the service life of the facility for continued use with minimal maintenance, and by repairing sinkholes and repaving damaged areas. This project was originally funded at $8 million and subsequently received additional funding from the Department of Environmental Protection for a total of $8.16 million. This area is in an area designated as a flood zone. It is a heavily used path for pedestrians, cyclists, skateboard users, and other multiple users. Some historical information was offered regarding this area. There were some post-Sandy repairs made years ago. Also, the area from the 69th Street Pier to the Verrazano was repaired or rehabilitated about 15 years ago. Excuse me. The Economic Development Corporation conducted a routine inspection of this site in 2015 as part of their EDC waterfront inspection program. In 2019, a design level inspection was conducted. In 2020 and 2021, some of the monies originally allocated for refurbishing the project was used to conduct a partial expedited paving of the area. And in 2021, the Department of Environmental Protection participated in the coordination and preliminary design of the project being presented tonight. This project only addresses routine repairs, primarily concerned with restoring the seriously deteriorated conditions identified. Multiple goals and metrics were considered, including cost, resilience, feasibility, sustainability, and permitting. A full reconstruction of this area would require about $30 million, plus environmental and permitting challenges and costs. Raising of the seawall is not feasible without a comprehensive approach for regional flood protection and transportation. Noted conditions included breaches in the seawall, deep cracking in the pavement, sinkholes, erosion, deteriorations inside the DEP outfall, and deteriorating concrete supports. This funding is obviously not enough for a full reconstruction, but the 8.16 million will be used as best as possible. The plan includes reconstruction to one CSO, or for those of you who don't know what that is, it's a combined sewer outfall for structural purposes. It is the one with a 4-barrel outfall and is a critical issue for structural reasons. Other CSO walls will be repaired. In fact, the additional monies received were specifically for this reconstruction purpose. Repairs will also address subsurface conditions and fix damaged sewer systems. These repairs are critical to extend the life of the area and should have a useful lifespan of about 10 years. In determining the budget for this project, it was noted that escalations of cost due to inflation were already included in the final funding total. The area from the bridge to Bay Parkway will be totally closed to the public through the duration of this project, which should take about 1 year. Once the project is completed, there will be another inspection by the Economic Development Corporation Waterfront Inspection Program to determine if there needs to be any other immediate repairs. A safety issue was raised about the sharing of the path by pedestrians, bikes, rollerbladers, and others. The commissioner said they would look into, but not promise, the stenciling of the path so that bikes and pedestrians are separated. Another issue raised regarding the loss of the path for bikers. The commissioner indicated the Parks Department would seek alternate routes for cyclists to use. It was noted that Community Board 10 has long advocated for a complete rebuilding of this entire area from the 69th Street Pier to Bay Parkway, and that there is a need for continued advocacy. The project is currently in the design and engineering phase. When letters of approval are received by the respective community boards and the project goes into the procurement phase, we should expect that the project would commence in the spring of 2024 and be completed in 1 year. Motions were made and approved by each respective community board's Parks Committee members. Motion to send a letter of support to the Parks Department for this capital project. Specifically, in Community Board 10, a motion was made by Diane Gennardis and seconded by Chris Ellison. The motion carried unanimously. For recording purposes, a similar motion was made by Eileen LaRufa from Community Board 11 and seconded by Jay Brown. The motion also carried unanimously. So that was the first agenda. Do you want to vote on this? Since we met in quorum, I don't know if there's any
Yes,
discussion.
so the
on it?
motion, you met in quorum, the motion's on the floor. We do not need a second. So it's open to discussion. Any questions or comments? I do not see any hands up. So we'll call the question.
Don't forget me.
Larry,
How long was the useful life of the combined sewer overflow?
they said about 10 years.
10 years. Good.
Okay. I don't see anyone else. Okay, so we'll call the question. The polling feature is up for your vote. Board members only.
Motion carries.
Okay, great. Diane?
And now the second agenda item. The second item on the agenda dealt with a situation at the Diker Beach Park located at Bay 8th Street. Participants for this part of the meeting included Davey Ives, Chief of Staff for the Parks Department Commissioner, Sergeant Alexander, the Parks Enforcement Patrol, Lawrence Major Jr., Regional Manager, Captain Stanko, Parks Enforcement Patrol, Bene McCants, Parks Enforcement Director, Captain Andrew Tolson, Commanding Officer of the 6th Precinct, Captain Tao Chen, Commanding Officer from the 6th Precinct, Antonique Bellegarde, the new Brooklyn Captain, Parks Enforcement Patrol, Monique Edmondson, Justin Brannon, City Councilman, Angela Bruno, Concerned Citizen, Sonia Valentine, Concerned Citizen, as well as many area residents who are concerned with this issue. Josephine Beckman began by providing a summary of the complaints. The residents of the area around the Diker Beach Park at Bay 8th Street requested this joint meeting of the New York City Parks Department, the 6-8 and the 6-2 police precincts, and the respective community boards to enforce the rules and regulations posted on the signs at Diker Beach Park. Excuse me. Littering, polluting, and dumping of garbage is never ending in the park. The residents' quality of life has deteriorated because of loud, amplified music into the wee hours of the morning, strobe lighting, fireworks, large groups taking over this section of the park, illegal sale of alcohol, alcohol use, drug paraphernalia, discarded bottles on walkways, rowdy people, people urinating, vomiting, and defecating on residents' property, disorderly conduct, unleashed animals, excuse me, destruction of the lawn in the park, and destroying of the landscape and flowers on private property. The events are being held without permits. These residents presented a petition with close to 200 signatures on it, requesting that their concerns be heard, insisting that these issues must be rectified, that the rules of the park must be enforced, and recommending that the operating hours of the park be changed from 6 a.m. until 1 a.m. to 6 a.m. until 10 p.m. 1 second. I'm sorry, it's allergy season. District Manager Beckman shared through this meeting we are trying to be proactive as we approach the upcoming summer months. We hope to educate and avoid future problems in this area. It was explained that sound permits are issued by the NYPD and Community Affairs Office and are only in effect for 4 hours. Individuals or groups who take out a sound permit are also given an extra hour to clean up before they must vacate the park. There is a designated area for barbecues originally intended for the use by families and small groups under 20 people. Now there are bonfires lit in the park. Davey Ives from the Parks Department indicated that groups of 20 or more people require a special event permit. If there is to be amplified music, a sound permit is required. If food is to be distributed, a Department of Health food handling license is required. If there are over 500 people, a citywide permit is required. In any case, vending is not allowed. Also, insurance bonds are required. We heard from Mr. Benet McCants, who oversees park enforcement citywide. The Parks Enforcement Patrol is not in every park. The staff of the Parks Patrol officers is very small, possibly less than 50 for the entire city. There are 877 parks in New York City. The Parks Enforcement Department relies on residents and park workers to inform them of infractions observed in the park so that they can respond accordingly. Complaints and concerns must be called in on the 311 system, not the 911 system. These patrol officers try to speak with these groups and try to encourage them to comply with the regulations of the park. If they don't comply, they're issued a summons. Angelo Bruno, who was one of the individuals requesting this meeting, spoke about the fact that his quality of life has deteriorated because of these conditions. He and his fellow residents cannot open their windows and cannot sit out on their stoop because of the loud music and other conditions. Another resident who requested this meeting was Sonia Valentin, who offered to conduct outreach to these individuals and groups using the park in an effort of educating them to the rules and regulations of the park. Community Board 10 conducted this type of outreach back in 2005, along with the 68th Precinct, when there was a similar problem at the 14th Avenue part of the park, and it was a successful venture. Captain Solson from the 6-8 Precinct advised that he will use his NCO and auxiliary officers to conduct this outreach and educate parkgoers. Signage at park entrances and flyers must be translated into the respective languages of these offenders. Captain Tolson agreed that even with a change in the allowable hours of operation and with the outreach initiative, change will require enforcement from the 6-8 Precinct. Officers must be trained in the use of the sound meter before they can issue a summons for loud music. Captain Chen share that even though the park in question is located in the 6-8 precinct, the residents affected are from the 6-2 precinct. Therefore, he will have his teams participate in enforcement in these residential areas. He also committed to changing the NCOs in reassigning their patrols around these areas. Director McCants also noted that between the hours of 9 and 11 p.m., there will be a daily patrol in the park to enforce regulations. A suggestion was made that the Parks Department update their park signage with translations, as well as a link to the website where permits can be obtained, along with an explanation of why permits are required. Councilman Justin Brannan shared that the park should remain as a place where all families can enjoy their beauty and that quality of life issues need to be resolved for the residents. He also mentioned that he is advocating for additional monies to be allocated to the Parks Enforcement Patrol to hire more officers. A motion was made by each community board and approved to issue a letter in support to change the operating hours of the park from 6 a.m. through 1 a.m. to 6 a.m. through 10 p.m. Specifically, in Community Board 10, a motion was made by Diane Gennardis and seconded by Justin Hyatt to change the operating hours. The next motion to eliminate the barbecue components from the park was made by Chris Ellison and seconded by Dan Heddix. Both motions were approved unanimously. For record-keeping purposes, a similar motion was made by Sonia Valentin from Community Board 11 and seconded by Jeff Harris to change the operating hours and carried unanimously. Finally, a motion calling for the elimination of the barbecue components was made by Sonia Valentin from CB11 and seconded by Janet Perry. The motion carried with one opposing vote by Jeff Harris. Moving forward, District Manager Beckman will create a flyer translated into multiple languages and send it to Davey Ives at the Parks Department for distribution by volunteers and the 6-8 precinct representatives, including auxiliary officers. There being no additional business, the meeting was adjourned at 8:10 p.m. So I'd like to call the question or open the second agenda item for discussion.
Well, this item is on the agenda for a vote. And so, Diane, so the committee met in quorum and the items that they suggest or that they remove the barbecue component.
Yes.
And that the hours of that we request that the hours of the park be shortened through what time?
Through 10 p.m. rather than 1 a.m.
Okay, so are those are the two main elements of that in a nutshell of the vote?
That's it. Yes.
Okay, so that is the committee's recommendation. Do we have any questions or comments about that? The motion is on the floor and up for discussion. No? Okay, so hearing and seeing none. Josephine, if you would put the motion up for a vote, please. Thank you. Everyone, board members, please mark your ballots.
One question. Question.
Yes.
Oh, is that Larry? Go ahead.
You say eliminate the barbecues altogether?
Yes.
That was the
Because
recommendation.
They're
yes.
using that area for bonfires and they're not disposing of the ashes and the garbage in a respectable manner. And so it's a safety concern.
Good.
Okay, everyone, if you get your votes in, please.
Okay,
Okay.
motion carries.
Motion carries. Okay, Diane, thank you very much for your report. And now we're on to Traffic and Transportation Committee.
That will be read by Jane Marie Kapitanakis because Anthony Marino is not here tonight.
Okay, you're back in the saddle, Jane Marie.
Okay, thank you so much. So on May 9th, the Traffic and Transportation Committee met in quorum. Our agenda items are listed as Anthony, as they had occurred. So the first item on our agenda that evening was the review of the Summer Street application activity permit submitted by the 5th Avenue BID and 3rd Avenue merchants. Amanda Zenteno, Executive Director, presented information on the Fun on 5th, the event ID 639384. The dates will be on the last Fridays from July, through October. On Fifth Avenue from 72nd Street to 85th Street. The dates are July 29th, 2022, August 26th, 2022, September 30th, 2022, and October 28th, 2022. The times will be 4 p.m. for setup, 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. with the breakdown time ending at 11 p.m. The motion was made to approve the Fun on Fifth event with the following stipulations. First, DSNY vehicles must begin cleanup no later than 10:30 p.m. A list of all SLA licensed premises who plan to serve alcoholic beverages must be provided to the Community Board 10. All SLA licensed premises participating must abide by all rules during both events. Amplified sound permits will be issued at the discretion of the Fifth Avenue BID organizers, and all applicants must adhere to New York City noise code regulations and NYPD rules relating to sound permits. A list of locations must be provided to Community Board 10 in advance of the event. All amplified sound permits issued by NYPD must end at 10 p.m. Violations of the sound permit regulations will be referred by Community Board 10 for enforcement. Organizers will ensure all intersections open to vehicular traffic must be lined with protective barriers and signage for pedestrian safety. All participants at the DOT Weekend Walk Fun on Fifth event must comply with the direction of the marshals. The Fifth Avenue BID as sponsor will attend an interagency meeting organized by Community Board 10 with the leadership of the NYPD, DSNY, SLA, SAPO, and DOT no less than 1 month before the first summer stroll event. Distribution of DOT Weekend Walk SAPO regulations to all participating merchants. Do we have any questions? Okay, so Josephine, I think we are ready to vote on the committee's motion in favor of this application.
I've launched the poll. Reminder, board members only. This is for Fifth Avenue Fun on Fifth. Okay, motion carries.
Excellent. Next, we spoke about the Third Avenue Festival, Third Avenue events, excuse me. Dan Texeria was on hand to represent Third Avenue. Again, there were no changes, and the plan was to do the event, excuse me, as it had been done in years past. Information was as follows. The Third Avenue Summer Stroll SAPO application, Lower Third Avenue, will be Third Avenue between 68th Street and 82nd Street on July 8th, 2022 and August 5th, 2022 with 4 p.m. setup, and the event is from 6 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. The event ID is 641254. The Upper Third Avenue events will be on Third Avenue between 82nd Street and Marine Avenue on July 22nd, 2022 and August 19th, 2022 with 4 p.m. setup. And again, the event is from 6 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. The event ID is 643045. The committee had a brief discussion and a motion was made to approve the event with the same exact stipulations, and our motion carried. Do we have any questions or discussion? Okay.
Okay, I've launched the poll.
Excellent.
And motion carries.
Thank you. The last item on the agenda was a presentation by the MTA with Melissa Farley and her team to update us on the addition of an elevator at the 8th Avenue station, ADA accessibility upgrade and station improvements at the 8th Avenue N line. This is part of a bundle of 8 stations. This bundle of 8 stations is part of a larger ADA accessibility project throughout New York City. Structural rehabilitation, systems upgrades, design build contract was awarded in December 2021. The start date for this work is January 26, 2022, and the completion will be on September 2024. For the improved station components include the new elevator from street to platform, digital customer information screens, and work is supposed to start on that on May 16th. People will still be able, though, to get to the train, but there are service impacts. The N train service will not be available at the 8th Avenue station during weekends from 10 p.m. Friday to 5 a.m. on Monday. This is anticipated to begin in summer 2022. The preliminary service plan, which of course is subject to change, is for 5 weekends. On 5 weekends, it will be the N via the D line south of 36th Street. Signage with alternative service options will be posted in stations prior to outages. After the presentation, we opened it up for questions and comments. There was a concern about summer access to Coney Island. There will be N service, though, we were assured, on the D line. They will update us with the final service. Signage will be in multiple languages, and a request was made for a shuttle to connect the stations with other lines. Once the MTA has more information, they will get back to us. With that, the meeting was adjourned, and this report was respectfully submitted by Anthony Marino. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jane Marie. And now we have our nominating committee report. Chair Festa is excused this evening, and I believe Robert Oliva will be delivering the report.
Thank you, Lori.
Thank you.
The members of the 2022 nominating committee are Tracy Britton, Judith Collins, Ruth Greenfield Macer, Rob Oliva, and Michael Festa serving as chair of the committee. The nominating committee met in quorum on April 20th, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. over Zoom. The purpose of the meeting was to establish the procedure for notifying board members that the nominating committee was accepting nominations for officer positions for fiscal year 2023, which runs from July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2023. The committee decided that the district office staff would email board members stating that the nominating committee would accept submissions from board members to the community board district office interested in being nominated for officer positions until noon on Thursday, April 28th, 2022. A copy of the email is attached to the report. The nominating committee met for the second time on Monday, May 2nd, 2022 at 6:30 p.m. again via Zoom. Submissions received by board members seeking officer positions were considered. Since only one submission for each officer position was received, the committee unanimously voted to present the slate of officers for fiscal year 2023 as follows. Chair, Jane Marie Kapitanakis. Vice Chair, Sandy Vallis. Secretary, Jana Tooby. Treasurer, Shirley Chin. I would like to thank the members of the nominating committee for serving on this year's committee. Respectfully submitted on behalf of Michael Festa, nominating committee chair. So now I move to open up nominations from the floor. Are there any nominations for the position of treasurer? Seeing none, I move to close nominations for treasurer. Are there any nominations for the position of secretary? Seeing none, I move to close nominations for secretary. Are there any nominations for the position of vice chair? Seeing none, I move to close nominations for vice chair. Are there any nominations for the position of chair? Seeing none, I move to close nominations for chair. At this time, I request a motion to close nominations and Barbara Bellucci, a second. Ruth Greenfield Macer. And at this time, I think we bring it to a vote.
Do you vote? No, we just vote on the motion to close nominations.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay, well done.
All right, so I am going to announce that we will affirm the slate brought forth by the nominating committee at our June 13th board meeting. And we thank the nominating committee for all of their efforts.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Robert. Okay, and that is the end of our committee reports for this evening. Do we have any old business anyone would like to bring up? Okay, do we have any new business anyone would like to raise? Okay, wait a minute, I see a few hands. All right, so we've got, okay, so I'm gonna get to Judy because she wanted to bring it up before, so let's just do Judy first. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, my camera's so weird, it's broken. So you have this little circle. Anyway, the point that I wanted to echo was what Ann Flutico brought up, was the issue that we as a community board would need to re-examine the issue of hours of operation for restaurants. When the restaurants were enclosed in their building, it was, you know, the sound issues were muted. But now that they're all on open streets, and I think the open street issue has not been resolved, and it doesn't look like it's going to be close to resolving. We may have a summer of much activity still out on the street. Noise becomes an issue. I really don't understand why a restaurant needs to be open till 4 o'clock. I understand a nightclub, a dancing facility, but I don't understand, are people really having dinner way into 4 o'clock? I mean, so, and then even a party, a catered party. So I think that we as a community board maybe should sit down, whether it's part of the police and public safety, to come up with a proposal that becomes a more standard of what is acceptable hours in the light that so much of the restaurant activity is now on the street.
Right. Judy, if I may,
Yes.
I did believe the New York State SLA guidelines say that they could be open to 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. And I think that's why they're pushing that.
We've never said what SLA, we always had our own rules. So I'm saying.
Right, but that's why they put those hours in, and then one sees the other. So I basically told him, I said, you know, it's going to be very hard to get 4 o'clock passed in this board. You know, well, I shot for 2, thinking that they would say no way, because other people have said no way, and they automatically said, yeah, okay, that's fine. So we were very happy with that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So my recommendation, it would be moved to the committee for discussion and maybe operate some new guidelines for, especially for the outdoor section of the restaurants.
That'd be great for September.
Okay. And I do think that, you know, especially with the outdoor dining being somewhat up in the air, right? You know, and we don't know for how long, because it says in Article 78, and you know, that you know, discussion could go to committee and should be an ongoing discussion, I think, in conjunction with our continued discussions about, you know, the whole outdoor dining structure of regulations. Okay, Doris?
You're muted.
I want to reinforce those concerns, and I do believe there are other community boards in the city that are much more restrictive and do not allow them permits after 1 a.m. and 2 a.m. So, and I think we should investigate that.
But just a question with that, Doris. Do you really think that there's any, we can have anything you want on paper. If there's no enforcement here in the 6-8 precinct, which is probably one of the better precincts in the city, do you really think there's enforcement anyplace else?
Well, I think we really need to work with our precinct on enforcement because it's very lax. And
they're one of
especially
the better ones.
not just
Okay.
in noise, but Bocce and I will say Positano have a terrible history of valet parking, taking a full lane of parking. And for Positano, it's at an intersection where there was a fatality.
Alessandro came from Positano.
All right.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
Hold on,
I live
hold on.
down the block.
Okay, wait a minute,
That's a
Julie,
town of
Julie,
Fort-
I'm just trying to
I'm
keep
sorry.
a little,
I'm
instead of this
sorry,
turning
I'm
into a
sorry.
free-for-all discussion, we're still.
Sorry.
We're still going. I mean, I just want to call on Bob Olivia. Have your hand up, Bob.
Thank you. Every month we come into these meetings and we have both attorneys and business owners, and we're constantly repeating what our thoughts, feelings, opinions, and expectations are amongst the board to local businesses. And I know this may be out of the purview of the community board, but I almost think there needs to be some sort of boot camp, seminar, best practices type of education amongst attorneys and business owners in the community. And I'm sure that the city and state do these sort of things, but I'm just wondering if there's anything that we can do, a resource provided by the community board, so we can address many of these things that are discussed beforehand. And I think that education is the way to do so. So I just wanted to offer that piece of feedback and to see if that's something that the committee or the community board in general would be open to discussing.
Bravo.
Joe, do you want to, I know that in the past we've had, maybe not the particular one that you're talking about, but we have had meetings when we had, when things get particularly noisy. Sometimes, we do have things like that. You're muted, Joe. Sorry.
I'm sorry. No, I think that's, certainly a great idea. I mean, we have, done that in the past. I think that, Lori and I, we've talked about doing, for board members, some training, but maybe best practices as well. Maybe putting it down in writing. We have an informational booklet, but perhaps we could work on that. I think that's a great idea.
Or maybe even something in conjunction with the bids.
With the bids.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Iris, you have your hand up?
Hi, thanks. This was something I was thinking about when the presentation with Bocce, but it wasn't appropriate, but I'm glad it's come up again about the valet parking. Yesterday, I almost had an accident on 3rd Avenue in front of Bocce because, there's the outside seating and then there's the valet. So you have to be in the other approaching traffic to go around, and it's half a block. And so it may look clear as you start, and then it's not. So I don't know, with this open streets and how this is going to be approached long term. And I don't even know if valet parking is regulated in any way, but it seems it should be one or the other, because if you're taking up that space and then you're having valet parking, you're taking up the whole roadway. So that's just my thought. And it really occurred. They almost had a head-on collision.
Thank you, Iris. Good point. Okay, anyone else? Does anyone else have anything they want to bring up? I see, wait a minute. No, I'm saying I'm gonna, that's old, the old business. I see some hands up. I've got Barbara, Iris, and Ann. Are those up from before?
New business.
Okay, we're not there yet because I have Sandy with a hand up, and I think, is this old Sandy? Okay, come on.
Unmute, Sandy.
Okay, the problem I think here, and I think we've raised this problem in the past. I know Jill has had this problem with
with the fire exits, and I know Anne has had this problem with this magical number of 74. This way, businesses get away from filing for occupancy permits. And and my problem here is that I know we put in an ungodly amount of hours and a lot of work into this board, and we want our community and our neighborhood to be the best it possibly can be. However, at times I feel that we're being overridden by the city. If a bad neighbor and a bad business like Lone Star can continue to be licensed and continue to do business with all the egregious violations that they have, the city just keeps overriding us. And I know we've had a lot of issues. I know we try to make this neighborhood great, but I feel the city's overriding us.
Thank you, Sandy.
Well said.
Okay. Jill, you've got your hand up. Is this old business?
Yeah, thank you, Sandy. I really appreciate that. And Lori, we spoke about this before, and we even had the buildings department representative recently, a few months ago, and we asked, and you asked, if we can figure out a way where they could, come up with new rules and regulations. And I don't think that's ever going to happen. I don't know if you heard anything back from them, but I think they're antiquated, all the old, fire laws, regulations. And I'm just wondering if I could just add to what Sandy is saying, if there's any way that maybe we could get together with Justin, Andrew, buildings department, fire department, to come up with new laws. So have you heard anything back about that?
Joe, Department of Buildings, about the question about egress, when we had discussed that with DOB. I'm thinking that, well, go ahead. I'm sorry, were you gonna?
No, I was just gonna say that the buildings department said that they have current rules and regulations, and the applications that we've questioned have met those rules. So perhaps we can set something up to really understand what the current rules and regulations are, and what we're looking to do to move, if we'd like to have a conversation about changing them. I think we have to first understand why.
Yeah, I think, Josephine, if we could, maybe it would be a good idea if we could possibly get some education on it from the Department of Buildings with regard to, their purposes behind it, and what their regulations are and are not. I mean, we did get clarification on that, but possibly to understand, like you said, what the current regulations are, exactly, what the parameters are and the reasons behind them, and that we, from there, could have a discussion about it.
Okay.
Because this is something that has come up over and over again. So I think maybe we should have that addressed. Okay, and now I see Ann and Barbara's hands are still up. Now, is this on old business? Because I would like to move on.
Same topic. May I?
Yes, of course.
I just want to say quickly, I'm glad we're going to study this, especially with respect to the hours, to ensure that we are having a livable neighborhood for the residents. But I also think it offers a benefit to the business owners, in that they kind of know what they're going to expect when they come before this community board, that we are unlikely to approve something that's beyond a certain time, or anyway, consistency for them.
Okay. Thank you very much. And now I'd like to move on to new business. And I know that Barbara Vellucci has her hand up, so I'm calling on you first, Barbara, go.
Okay, great. About 2 years ago, I put in the application for a street naming ceremony for St. Ephraim's Church. 2021, they celebrated the 100th anniversary. So this Sunday at 11 o'clock on the steps of St. Ephraim's, which is on Fort Hamilton Parkway and Bay Ridge Parkway, there will be a brief ceremony. So anybody who is available, please join us on the steps of St. Ephraim's. That's it.
Thank you very much, Barbara. I did want to mention one thing very quickly, and I'm just mentioning it in new business, and it's just a mention because I do have to look into it, but I did hear, and I'm not sure if this report was correct, but I did hear on the news today that they're in the budget that the mayor will be putting forth, that Parks budget will be cut again, which I found very disappointing because of, as we just heard in the reports, we have very few people on the ground in parks, in terms of, even people just to cut the grass. And so I am concerned about further cuts there. We do have a large amount of parks in our district. And so I do know that Councilman Brannon is tied up actually now, in budget, but I have reached out to him to just inquire, to find out what's really going on with this, because I think that that would be terrible. But I just wanted to mention that. Okay, so I don't see any other hands up. Oh, Justin Hyatt. You're on mute, Justin.
No new business. Just wanted to throw this out there before we move to adjourn. Happy belated Mother's Day to all the moms out there. Hope you guys had a wonderful experience, and appreciate you.
Thank you very much, Justin. Thank you. Okay, everyone, so motion to adjourn. All in favor? Okay, I think this is unanimous. Thank you very much, everyone, really. And the meeting was long. Thank you so much. And we'll see you all in person next month.
Bye-bye.